All right, today we're going to start a new series on current research in education, and we're going to look at the summary of an article called Zombie Ideas in Education. This just came out in the May 2021 issue of Educational Leadership. It's by Bryan Goodwin. And in the article, Goodwin discusses 6 different ideas that have been just widespread in the educational community, and they continue to live on despite the best efforts of researchers to kill them off for good. Right? These zombie ideas have been proven time and time again not to work, or that they're not true, and we need to stop giving them new life. So let's look at what these ideas are and why they're not true. The first one is, zombie number 1, is that students have different learning styles. Now, this idea goes all the way back to Howard Gardner, the Harvard researcher, who basically said that students are intelligent in different ways. Okay, that doesn't sound too unreasonable, but the educational field somehow morphed this into the idea that kids had different learning styles and that they would learn best when they were taught in a particular way. You've heard them speak of, visual and auditory and kinesthetic learners. So if you're good at music, you might best learn about the Civil War through music or through listening. Serious research has found little evidence that one field of knowledge can be learned by using another, or that people learn best when the learning matches their particular style. Gardner himself in 2008 even cautioned against this, and yet we still see it in all types of educational materials that are put out that say that we should use learning styles in the classroom. Well, the truth is far simpler, and as Goodwin puts it, yes, kids are different, and yes, we sometimes prefer one way of learning over another, but that doesn't mean that we learn better with a particular modality. At best, research shows benefits from learning in multiple ways. For example, reading about a scientific phenomenon, seeing it on video, experiencing it. We would be best to put this zombie idea to rest by substituting the word preference for the word style, and noting that preferences are just that, preferences. All right, now let's look at zombie number 2. Zombie number 2 is the idea that students learn best through unguided discovery. Yeah, no one wants to sit and listen to a straight lecture. You're probably getting bored of this video already. And people like to be engaged in active learning, but the idea that students learn best through a minimally guided learning experience is false. And when you give kids a complex problem with little prior instruction, students who are especially students who are low performing and younger students, they often learn skills incorrectly, they develop misconceptions. Research shows that direct instruction before students practice on their own is the best way to go about this. And Goodwin says, in many ways, this zombie idea emerges from a false dichotomy that pits direct instruction against discovery learning, when really the two strategies work better together. The best approach is guided discovery, providing students with learning objectives, direct instruction, modeled examples, and feedback during the process of discovery, thus ensuring that they develop accurate conclusions and proper skills. All right, zombie number 3. Students should learn to read through authentic reading. This zombie idea continues to shamble out of teacher colleges, where a surprising number of instructors appear to eschew systematic, explicit use of phonics in favor of giving students interesting choices of reading materials, focusing on making meaning and unpacking the sound symbol code in a more incidental way. Decades of research show that the best approach to teaching reading is based on making sound symbol connections, and that because there's nothing intuitive about these sound symbol connections, that we must teach these things directly. Students have to practice these connections through reading and writing practice until they become automatic and they can read fluently. Ultimately, fluency is the key to comprehension. Sadly, according to the study of the National Council of Teacher Quality in 2018, only 37% of pre-service education programs actually teach the science of reading. And according to Goodwin, the research suggests that while it might be worthwhile to give students awesome, exciting reading materials, and that it might be foolish to work on decoding nonsense words, the science of reading is clear. Reading's best learned through direct instruction which focuses on sound, simple correspondence and builds fluency. Having kids read more exciting material will not make them better readers all in itself. And that brings us to zombie number 4. Zombie number 4 is the idea that students don't need facts, they just need critical thinking skills. We've all heard this before, right? I can look it up. So why do I need to memorize it, right? Let's teach kids to be critical thinkers. So while critical thinking skills are important, research shows that students learn critical thinking skills within a content and subject area. So as Goodwin states, student critical thinking isn't a skill in the typical sense of the word, something learned in one area that transfers easily to another. Rather, it tends to be interwoven with domain-specific knowledge. Students employ scientific thinking with science knowledge, textual analysis with literature, quantitative reasoning in mathematics, and so on. Students must think critically about something, namely facts and content knowledge. Zombie number 5. If it's worth teaching, it's worth grading. Now, we all know the old adage that what gets measured gets done, right? And we've also learned, though, that as Peter Drucker said, what gets measured gets managed, right? Sometimes measuring things actually hurts an organization more than it helps it. In education, we try to give every assignment, every assessment, everything the kids do a grade because we have this false sense that a grade equates to importance. As you know, we're familiar with the work of Carol Dweck from Stanford, the mindset guru. She found that students who see the purpose of school as earning a grade do not grow richer as learners, and that they tend to be less motivated and they demonstrate lower overall performance. So as Goodwin shows in the research he shows in this article, homework has a very small effect size, and practice has a large effect size. So we have to get out of the mindset that students won't do their work if they don't get a grade. Instead, teach students the benefits of practice. The research also shows that grades don't always reflect whether students have met the expectations for the learning, which should be the real purpose for grades. So think about that when you're worried about giving everything a grade. Focus more on the importance of why kids should practice and letting them know the importance of doing that work. Now, our last zombie is one we've heard arguments about all the time, that smaller classes are better. Now, this is a hard zombie to kill because actually, at least in theory, it's true, right? Smaller class sizes would benefit students. If we had 7 to 10 kids in a class with a highly skilled teacher, that definitely that would be a good thing for kids. Smaller class sizes would benefit small students if teacher quality could uphold their end of the bargain. And what they found in studies was that when class sizes were reduced, what usually happened was that students received less capable teachers, and therefore the benefits were far outweighed by the negatives that were created by a poorly trained and ineffective teacher group. Research suggests that in some cases that school systems might actually be better off to increase class sizes and be able to recruit and pay teachers more, right? To pay great teachers more money. One estimate said that adding 5 students in each person's class could actually translate to about a 34% raise for teachers. I don't know about you, but that sounds good to me. So those are the 6 zombie ideas in education. I hope that you help me to help kill these things off, right? And move on to what the research actually shows. So I hope you enjoyed this look at zombie ideas from Bryan Goodwin from the May 2021 edition of Education and Leadership. I think that Goodwin, puts it best in the conclusion of this article where he quotes Mark Twain as saying that it isn't sometimes what we don't know that can harm us, but what we think to be true that isn't, that actually does harm us. And I hope that you can keep these zombies in mind in your classroom when you plan and prepare. So thanks for being here with me today, and we'll talk again soon.